Hey guys, so I know that we are stuck at home in quarantine right now, but it's okay because I prepared a little message for you guys so that even while we're away from each other, we can still get some Jesus in us. So I'm actually going to tell you all a story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and if you aren't very familiar with that story, it is in Daniel 3, and I don't have my Bible with me right this second, so I can't read the verses word for word, but I do have written down where they are so that you can go back and reference them later. So if you aren't very familiar with the story, it is about a king. His name is King Nebuchadnezzar, and there are these three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they're in Babylon, which is a very wicked city at the time, and these three boys rise in rank to where they're chief advisors under the king. And this king, Nebuchadnezzar, builds this golden image that he gets all of his people to worship. Basically, it says in the story that when they play music, like a trumpet calls and all these different instruments, when they play music, that people have to get down and worship the image. And some of his assistants or people under the king tell him that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are not worshiping this image. And I don't have the verse exactly right here, so I can't tell you it word for word, but it's I love this verse because it's just kind of makes me laugh a little bit, because he tells the boys that he's going to throw them into a fiery furnace. So basically he's going to burn them to death if they do not worship the image. And he told that to everybody, that if they didn't worship it, that's what would happen to them. So the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they knew that before they even didn't worship the image. They had that in their brains, and that still did not stop them. But one of the funny things that I find it funny that Nebuchadnezzar says is, he says, what God can save you from this? Like, what God is bigger than my image? Which is just funny to me, because the rest of the story, they're just like, watch this, and it plays out very well. So the three boys, they actually tell him, they make three statements when they are saying this. And I'm actually going to try and put the verse up here, because I can't reference it word for word right this second, because I don't have my Bible with me, because I left it at my dad's house. But it starts in, I think, verse 17 through 18. I'm pretty sure is where this part starts. So basically they say that I have a God that I'm going to worship, and it's not going to be your God. And they say first, they establish that their God is able. And I think that is so powerful, because they go ahead and they lay the foundation of the conversation. They say, I serve a God who is able. And I think that applies so well to what we're in right now, the situation, because we do have a God that is able. Even though there's all these things happening, we have a God that is able of healing. He is able to give us peace and hope during this time of so much misunderstanding and chaos. And then second, they say, my God is able, and he will save us from this situation. Like, he isn't going to just leave us behind, because they chose the right thing. They chose not to worship the image, and they say, I have a God that is able to save us, and he will save us. Now, when I was actually telling this group to a group of other people, when I was telling this story to a group of other people, I gave them like the situation. I said, like, if I have this candle and I put it all the way across the room and I throw something into it, can I throw it in? And they responded, yes. Physically, I could throw something and make it into this container. But I also then asked them, I said, what if something depended on it, something like drastic? And I said, would you be able to say that I will make it? One shot, will I make it in? Because that takes a lot of faith. They would have to have so much faith in me to say that, yes, with one shot, I'm going to make it in. So that's why this statement is just so important to me, because it not only shows that they know what their God can do, but they have so much faith in him to say, in this moment when they're about to be thrown into a furnace, they say, he can save us, but you know what? He will save us. Like, I mean, he just, point blank, he said, my God will beat that. But then also, he ends it with something that I just think is so great. he not only says, I have a God that is able to save me, I have a God that will save me, but even if he doesn't save me, then I still won't bow down. And that is just the crazy thing about all this, because these 3 boys, when they're told to bow down, they stand tall. And I think that is just something that is just so inspiring, because when we're faced with hard situations, we can't choose to bow down. We have to stand tall and stand firm in our faith, because it is just so important, because we serve a God that is so able and is so gracious and will save us in any situation of harm that, that arises where we need him. And something that this reminded me of, I don't know if you've seen these little quotes. People be posting these, there's just a couple quotes, like Bible verses or just little quotes that go around all the time, and one of them is, and if not, he is still good. Oh my gosh, kind of funny. I actually have that right there written down. But I think that literally came from the story, because even if he doesn't save us from this fire, then our God's still good. And even though he's able, if he didn't deliver us from the situation, there's a reason. And I think that is so relevant in the time that we're in right now. We're in this time of crisis where there's this virus and we're quarantined, and there's so many things that we had plans for that didn't go our way. I think it's important to have hope and know that even though you had this big picture, like for me, my senior year, I had this huge idea of what my senior year was going to be. I was going to go to prom, I was going to do all these senior activities and things, and in my head that's such a perfect picture. But I have hope, and I know that his plan is actually greater than mine, so all the greatness that I imagined, it's even 10 times greater, and that just gives me so much hope and so much peace in this time of, confusion. So, to end things up, the story ends where they are actually thrown into the fire, but the cool thing about it is God doesn't deliver them from the fire. He doesn't stop the fire, he doesn't take them out of the fire, he actually puts himself in the fire. But I have written down a little point I made, is that it wasn't about the fire they were in, it was who was in there with them. And I think that is so important, especially now, because it's not about the situation we're in right now, it's not about the crisis that we're in, it's about who's in there with us. So, that's all I have for right now. I just hope that you guys stay safe over your time away. I hope that you're enjoying your time where you don't have to wake up at 7 a.m. because I am enjoying it. I've been waking up at 1, not gonna lie, I've been going to bed late. And I'm excited to see you guys when this quarantine is over. So be safe, and I love you guys.